Here are the top stories for today, July 24, 2019. Malacanang says the government will not stop foreign organizations from investigating the government's war on drugs. The Duterte administration continues to push for federalism amid plans for constitutional amendments. More officials in the regions express support for President Duterte's State of the Nation address. And Britain's Queen Elizabeth awards a royal medal to a Filipino driver serving the United Kingdom Embassy.
Good day, I'm Rom Dulfo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Our top story, Malacanang remains open in having international group investigate the government's drug war for alleged human rights violations, but emphasizes it could still be considered an assault to sovereignty. Malacanang made this remark after a recent survey showed that majority of Filipinos want to allow international organizations to investigate human rights violations in the drug war. Presidential spokesman Panello explains international groups should not interfere because Philippine courts were functioning. He blames critics of the Duterte administration for making the public believe in the premise that drug-related deaths were state-sanctioned. Panello said the survey results will not change the administration's stance that the UN could not enter the Philippines to conduct an investigation on the drug war.
Hindi naman natin ini-stop di ba? Ang reaction natin is, you cannot do that to us because we're a sovereign state.
Malacanang says President Duterte is most likely to certify the passage of the death penalty bill as urgent. Miguel Hill reports.
Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panello on Tuesday said President Duterte urged Congress to pass a bill restoring death penalty for drugs and plunder in his fourth State of the Nation address for that very reason. Meanwhile, some legislators also prioritize the passage of the death penalty law prior to President Duterte's State of the Nation address.
Again, depende yun sa Congress. Sila naman nagdi-decide His is to suggest. Sa tingin niya, mas makakatulong yun.
Among them is Senator Panfilo Lacson, who pushes for death penalty for crimes under qualified bribery. Meanwhile, Senator Bongo's version of the death penalty law is focused on heinous crimes and plunder, which will be executed by lethal injection.
Nakikita ko kasi si Pangulo, exasperated na siya. Nakikita ko tuwing nagkakatabi kami. Sabi niya, pagod na ako. Paano natin pigilan tong korupsyon sa gobyerno? Sabi ko, Mr. President, paano kami makakatulong? So, maaaring kung pumasa ito, maaaring ikatakot ng mga magnanakaw sa gobyerno.
On the other hand, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa sees death by firing squad for the facilitator of drugs to the consignees. Senator Manny Pacquiao also agreed to death penalty, saying it is also stated in the Bible. For Senator Tito Soto, the proposed death penalty legislation can be certified as a priority bill. Asked what method of execution the president would prefer, Panello said Duterte may prefer to stick with lethal injection.
Sabi, kung tatanungin mo siya, walang gastos ano na lang, lubid. But I think, yung dati natin siguro, lethal injection siguro yung dati.
For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
The Duterte administration will continue the campaign for federalism, saying it remains a solution for progress. Interior Secretary Eduardo Año says the DILG, the lead agency of the Interagency Task Force on Federalism, will still work on the president's dream of a federal Philippines. The DILG chief said the president still considers federalism a priority, even as the planned shift from the unified federal form of government was not mentioned in his SONA. Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles notes federalism will also be one of the topics to be discussed in the Committee on Constitutional Amendments in Congress. However, should the shift to federalism get a dimmer chance in Congress, Año said the government will focus on reforms through changing certain provisions of the 1987 Constitution. Malacanang earlier said federalism remains in President's thought, expressing optimism that Congress will pass measures in the Congress for its realization before the end of his term in 2022.
Hindi porket kaalyado, ididikta mo ang gusto mo, kayo naman. Siyempre, ang member ng Kongreso may kanya-kanyang konsyensya, independence of mind. They have to decide on their own. The President proposes, Congress disposes.
Customs Commissioner Ray Leonardo Guerrero on Tuesday reiterates his call to all personnel to work together or bow out of the service. Guerrero was referring to working together with the employees to implement reforms in the BOC and improving its reputation. He cited a report from the Deputy Commissioner for Internal Administration saying some employees already offered to resign from their posts. Meanwhile, the Customs Commissioner said they are waiting on the order regarding the directive of President Duterte for the transfer of personnel to Congress. Guerrero already met with Undersecretary Jesus Kitain, OIC of the Office of Special Assistant to the President, on Tuesday to discuss the transition. In his fourth SONA on Monday, the President revealed his plan to order customs officials to report to Congress to help him with his everyday work. Maynilad is spending about 2.2 billion pesos for the repair and maintenance of its pipes this year, and COMELEC says it will still continue on its preparations for the upcoming barangay and SKA elections and talks of postponement. More on this and other news around the metro from Benj Bondo.
Maynilad Water Services is setting aside 2.2 billion pesos to repair and replace its old and damaged water pipes this year. Pipe replacement activities will be held in Quezon City, Muntinlupa, Parañaque, and Bacoor City in Cavite. This will help consumers save up to 28 million liters of water. The water concessionaire hopes to replace about 312 kilometers of old pipes in the West Zone. Meanwhile, the Department of Foreign Affairs will start accepting the Philippine Postal Corporation ID as a valid government-issued ID for passport applications starting August 1. The DFA and the PhilPost signed a Memorandum of Agreement on the acceptance of PhilPost IDs as a valid ID for passport application on July 8. In other news, Quezon City Councilor Winnie Costello wants Chinese nationals working in Philippine offshore gaming operations, or POGOs, checked if they are paying the right taxes. Costello claims several Chinese in a POGO in the Quezon City branch were known to have not been paying taxes. He also asked the Bureau of Immigration to check whether foreigners here have the right working permits. And the Commission on Elections on Tuesday said it will continue with their preparations for the May 2020 Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections. COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez noted that unless a law is passed ordering the postponement of the 2020 elections, they are duty-bound to prepare for the scheduled polls. President Duterte on Monday urged Congress to pass a law moving the said elections to 2022. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondo.
Still to come, the DILG calls on local government units to emulate Manila Mayor Isko Moreno in reclaiming public roads. More officials in the regions express support for President Duterte's State of the Nation address. More on these from the PNA Newsroom continues.
Developmental gains will not be felt by our people in the countryside if we cannot maintain law and order. Yung peace and security, we need to enforce the law. After almost 2 decades of peace negotiation, the Bangsamoro Organic Law was finally passed and ratified. For decades, our Muslim brothers in the armed have been mired in poverty. My late Muslim brother, Minda Chair Abdul Ghair Alonto, envisioned a progressive, peaceful, and united Mindanao during our lifetime. It is my hope that the Bangsamoro transition will fast-track the establishment of regional government that will secure and comfortable life for Muslim brothers and sisters and all indigenous communities in the Bangsamoro regions. Additionally, I have taken the helm of the National Task Force to end local communist armed conflict and have assigned a cabinet member to each region to harmonize government efforts in attaining national development security.
Interior Secretary Eduardo Año on Tuesday hailed the move done by Manila Mayor Isko Moreno in reclaiming public roads. He says it is a good example of ways to solve Metro Manila's traffic woes. During a press conference organized by the Presidential Communications Operations Office at PIA, Año said it is time to ease traffic and reclaim private roads to become public roads, as what the President said during his SONA on Monday. He mentioned how Metro Manila roads are full of street vendors and made into parking areas, but these will have to be clear, just like what Mayor Isko Moreno did in Divisoria. In his fourth SONA, President Duterte mentioned that economic losses due to traffic congestion in Metro Manila are pegged at 3.5 billion pesos a day.
One estimate pegs economic losses at 3.5 billion a day due to traffic congestion in Metro Manila. So meantime, I reiterate my directive, my request, my pleading to the MMDA and all concerned local officials in Metro Manila and other cities to undertake immediate action to ensure the speedy and smooth flow of vehicular traffic. Reclaim all public roads that are being used for private ends. Marami dyan.
Authorities have arrested one of the suspects in the brutal killing of the 4 police intelligence officers in Ayungon, Negros Oriental. The suspect was identified as Victoriano Bonalaan Jr., who is now facing murder and theft charges. 5 other suspects have been identified but remain at large. These are Jonathan Baldivino, Renji Anadon Baluhabo, Jelly Anadon Ebedo, Joseph Torres Ogates, and Jelly Anadon Ebedo. The suspects were believed to be members of the Communist New People's Army. Meanwhile, Barangay Chairman Sonny Caldera of Barangay Mabato in Ayungon Town has died in an apparent suicide. Caldera was about to face charges over suspicion of cooperating with the communist rebels. Meanwhile, NTF-LCAC official Major General Antonio Parlade Jr. questions the silence of militant groups despite the widely reported capture, torture, and cold-blooded execution of 4 police officers by CPP-NPA terrorists in Ayungon Town, Negros Oriental on July 18. Parlade questions why Karapatan and the National Union of People's Lawyers, or NUPL, whose alleged mission is to protect the human rights of the Filipinos, are still mum on the issue of barbaric torture and killing of the 4 police officers. He said the 2 groups who are self-proclaimed human rights defenders have been harping on a call for UNHRC probe on alleged EJK in the Philippines, but have been silent on the torture and the brutal killings of the 4 police officers. Parlade maintains his earlier claims that Karapatan's human rights advocacy is not genuine. He urged the 2 groups to come clean of their bias and denounce the CPP-NPA. More officials from the provinces have expressed support for President Duterte following his SONA on Monday. In the Ilocos region, Ilocanos expressed their gratitude to President Duterte for asking the Congress to pass a new salary standardization law, as well as prioritizing the welfare of micro, small, and medium entrepreneurs. They also lauded his order to simplify government transactions. In Pangasinan, Lingayen Mayor Leopoldo expressed support to President Duterte's anti-illegal drugs and anti-corruption policies. Other Pangasinenses also commended the President's SONA. Meanwhile, Iloilo City Representative Julienne Baronda is throwing her support to the proposed legislations of President Duterte, especially those that will strengthen existing laws against illegal drugs and corruption. Iloilo is placed under a state of emergency due to dengue, and anti-Duterte rallies in Bukidnon were allegedly abandoned by their protest leaders without food and transportation. More on these and other news from the provinces from Janice Cave.
Iloilo province is placed under state of calamity due to dengue. Data from the Provincial Health Office shows that from January 1 to July 13, dengue cases in Iloilo have reached 6,806 with 23 deaths. Dengue cases in Pototan Town have reached 713, Pasig City has 458, Sara has 378, Concepcion has 333, and Lambunao with 293. In Bukidnon, soldiers from the Army's 403rd Brigade in Malaybalay City distribute food and water to rally participants who assembled at the provincial capital grounds to protest President Duterte's State of the Nation address on Monday. The rallyists were said to be abandoned by their protest leaders without food and transportation back to their villages. According to the military, some participants told them they were recruited by two organizers who promised them food and bus fare. In Cebu, former 5th District Representative Ramon Durano VI has asked the House of Representatives Electoral Tribunal to void the proclamation of his rival, Representative Vincent Franco Frasco. Durano asked to conduct a manual recount of votes cast in his district, citing glaring irregularities such as delays and errors experienced by those who voted for him. The 5th District has been known to be a Durano country since the 8th Congress in 1987 until the May 13, 2019 polls when a non-Durano got elected as congressman. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, is positive that Filipinos will feel a big improvement in telecommunication services nationwide by 2020. Undersecretary Eliseo Rio Jr. on Tuesday said that improvements will stem from a high-speed internet infrastructure to be built in partnership with Facebook and Dito Telecommunity Corporation. Aside from faster internet services at home, the high-speed project with Facebook will help provide Filipinos with better free Wi-Fi in public spaces and better e-government services at 2 terabits per second. Up next, the Senate adopts a resolution honoring Senator Manny Pacquiao on his latest victory. Britain's Queen Elizabeth awards a royal medal to a Filipino driver serving the UK embassy. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
To the Build program in emerging economic hubs outside Metro Manila. This will swiftly gain ground thanks to the efforts of the economic team led by Secretary Dominguez. Hard at work in the interconnection of our islands and cities by air, land, and sea are Secretaries Tugade and Villar. Alaman naman ninyo, magaganda na ang airport ninyo. Inuna ko nga kayo. Everybody's complaining about the Davao Airport, and I said, Davao will be the last. Kung hindi na maabutan, sabi ko mga taga-Davao, pasensya na kayo. Para walang masabi ang Congress sa atin, baka nga 3% sila doon sa kabila. We also paved the way for the entry of third telecommunication provider. Do not worry about this. There is no corruption at all. I guarantee you, upon the grave of my father, I do not talk to them. I just say, just do your work. And kung maaari, according to what the specifications are required by this government. I challenge this new player to fulfill its commitment to provide fast and reliable telecommunication services to our people, especially in the underserved areas. DICT Secretary Hunasan will be the lead man in this endeavor. I hope he is here.
The Upper House adopts a resolution congratulating Senator Manny Pacquiao for defeating reigning World Boxing Association Super Welterweight champion Keith Thurman. The Senate adopted Senate Resolution number 3, which took into consideration 5 separate resolutions filed by Senators Bongo, Bong Revilla, Juan Miguel Zubiri, Maria Lourdes Nancy Binay, and Richard Gordon. Go said that Pacquiao has brought immense pride and joy to Filipinos around the world, with his accomplishments as a boxer highlighting the 12 world titles he has bagged in 8 separate weight divisions. Pacquiao thanked his colleagues for the commendation and also urged them to support the passage of the creation of the Philippine Boxing and Combat Sports Commission. Queen Elizabeth II of the UK has awarded a Filipino driver with the British Empire Medal for his 33 years of service at the UK Embassy in Manila. Roland Quiteves, who hails from Santa Lucia, Ilocos Sur, said he was only 22 when he moved to Manila. His first job actually is in the British Embassy, where he worked as a messenger. He later acquired skills and was promoted to become the official driver of the ambassador. Quiteves has been the official driver of 8 of Queen Elizabeth's ambassadors to the Philippines in his 33 years of service in the embassy. Throughout his service, Quiteves said he was also able to drive for some members of the royal family, such as when Prince Andrew, Duke of York, Princess Anne, and Prince Charles visited the Philippines. In a statement, British Ambassador Daniel Pruce said he is delighted to announce that Her Majesty, the Queen Elizabeth II, has honored Mr. Roland Quiteves with the British Empire Award or Medal for his services to UK-Philippine relations. The Bases Conversion and Development Authority, or BCDA, is partnering with US-based mobility company Coast Autonomous for the pilot testing of low-speed autonomous vehicles within New Clark City. The self-driving vehicles will be used to provide transportation for the athletes during the 30th Southeast Asian Games, slated from November 30 to December 11 this year. 3 Electric Coast P1 shuttles are expected to arrive to the country in mid-October for the pilot testing. Each shuttle can accommodate up to 20 passengers and will transport athletes to and from the Athletes Village, the Athletics Stadium, and the Aquatics Center. It will also be offered to the riding public during the Games. In sports, Barangay Ginebra is the first team to enter the PBA Commissioner's Cup semifinals after chewing on Magnolia Pambansang Manok on Tuesday night. Justin Brownlee scored a game-high 30 points following a big third-quarter explosion to power the Gin Kings. Mark Baroca led Magnolia's losing effort with 17 points. With this win, Ginebra officially advanced to the best of 5 semis, where it awaits the winner of the TNT Alaska pairing. Meanwhile, at Blackwater, import Greg Smith completely outclassed Rainer Shine counterpart Carl Montgomery as the elite subdued the Lasso Painters 196 to force a do-or-die match. Smith piled up 31 points as against Montgomery's 11. Bobby Ray Parks backed up Smith's efforts with 28 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Rookie Javi Mocon fired 25 points in the E-Painters' failed closeout bid. In continued efforts to rehabilitate Marawi City, authorities highlighted the importance of clearing out the debris in the city's most affected area. They also assured that all rehabilitation projects in Marawi are being accomplished. Sweet Lukman with the story.
Task Force Bangon Marawi Chairperson and Housing and Urban Development Coordinating Council Secretary Eduardo Del Rosario has bared during the Bangon Marawi press briefing held in Iligan City that the debris management at Marawi City's most affected area is the most important project being undertaken by the task force. Del Rosario cited the 2 vital components of debris management at MAA, the clearing of unexploded ordnances and other explosives, which will be completed by September 30, and the demolition of the damaged infrastructures, houses, and buildings, which will be completed by November 30. He also mentioned that once the debris clearing is completed in November, the implementation of numerous vertical projects will immediately commence in the 4th quarter of 2019. The housing CHAR also assured the displaced residents that there is no delay in the target completion of Marawi rehabilitation. The TFBM chairperson also added all IDPs in the evacuation centers will be occupying the transitory shelter in Barangay Boganga and Barangay Sagunsongan by mid-September 2019. He reiterated that mid-September, internally displaced families would no longer be staying at the remaining evacuation centers, adding the National Housing Authority is currently working on it and on target with regard to its timetable. Del Rosario assured the public that the task force is still on track in pursuing its target to complete the rehabilitation of the war-torn city's most affected area.
We will be able to complete the rehabilitation in the most affected area by December of 2021.
For PNA Newsroom, Sweet Lukman, Philippine Information Agency.
In our weather update, Mimaropa and Western Visayas will experience cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms caused by southwest monsoon, while Metro Manila and the rest of the country will experience partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rains caused by localized thunderstorms. Let's take a look at the weather forecasts in other parts of the country. Here's another look at today's biggest stories.
Malacanang says the government will not stop foreign organizations from investigating the government's war on drugs. The Duterte administration continues to push for federalism amid plans for constitutional amendments. More officials in the regions express support for President Duterte's State of the Nation address. And Britain's Queen Elizabeth awards a royal medal to a Filipino driver serving the United Kingdom Embassy.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I am Rom Dulfa. Good day.